I thought we'd do something different this time around. There's a lot of information in our trading platform, and I thought let's take a look at some of the most traded shares, have a look at the charts in a bit more detail and see just why they're interesting to people and are there actually any opportunities now. There's a lot of information in our trading platform, and if you go to the Discover section, one of the things you can look at is top traded markets, whether it's shares, crypto, FX, commodities, indices. So I thought let's focus on shares. Let's see what other people are trading. You can see 6 of them in here. Take a look at their charts and have a look at what the opportunities is. So I'll talk a little bit now about these companies, then we'll jump back onto the platform and go through these charts in a lot more detail.
Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and as you saw, we're going to do a slightly different video this time around. I thought rather than us picking what to look at, we do it based on what clients are actually trading. So in this video, we'll take a look at 4 of the most popular traded stocks over the last week. As usual, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it does help support the channel, and it means we can push out hopefully lots of interesting videos like this in the weeks ahead. So the 4 most traded we're going to take a look at are Facebook, AMC Entertainment, Virgin Galactic, and Tesla. I'm sure you'll have your favorites. I think mine out of those are going to be Facebook and Tesla, but let us know what you think of all the different stocks in the comments below. So without further ado, let's get into it and take a look at some of the more popular traded stocks on the platform over the last week.
So let's take a look at this. The most popular one has been Camber Energy. We did do a video on that yesterday. It is the latest in the meme stock craze. To find out more about that, have a look at that video. But let's go to the next one, Facebook. Clearly, they've been in the news this week with the outage that we saw for Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. Let's take a look at the Facebook chart in a bit more detail. I'm sure we're all familiar with Facebook as a business. Social media giant, obviously also owns Instagram and WhatsApp. This is what the stock price has done. So last summer, started breaking out to fresh all-time highs. So moving through about $220 for the stock. But that was only the start. It has recently powered as high in September above $380. So another 50% plus move from where it was last summer. It has been under some pressure recently because we've seen some weakness in the broader stock market, perhaps particularly with more of a focus on tech stocks. So it has been knocked back. But let's just zoom in on this trend since the March 2020 lows. So I thought let's start things off with a moving average. We've got a 50-day moving average on the stock. Traditionally, of course, when the price moves above the moving average, like back here, March of this year, it's a buy signal. The moving average did a pretty good job of providing support on the way up until the middle of September. The price falls through 360. That's a sell signal from the moving average. So at the moment, the moving average is bearish. If we take a look at the RSI down here, really oversold on this sell-off, but the price has continued lower. But at the moment, oversold. So the RSI is suggesting that perhaps the price has slid far enough for now. Let's go and have a look at the trend. If we take a look at this trend, it's almost bang on the trend line. That trend line off the March 2020 lows, is it setting up for another bounce off that trend line? It's going to be really interesting to watch over, I think, the next few days, next few weeks. We do have a lot of support for Facebook coming in. If we pick up on these lows in April, round about 294 for the stock. So for me, where we are now, running from about 294 through to 320, this is the area where if Facebook is going to bounce, we'd expect to see some strength coming in now and for that trend to resume. I think if we slip much below those 294 lows, that's it. This trend is definitely over. So at the moment, it has been under pressure over the last month. You know, it's dropped not quite 20%, but about 15%. We've seen the share price off over the last month. No market moves in a straight line. And I think from a technical charting point of view, for now, I've been waiting to see if the buyers come back in and if we get some strength. If this trend line does hold, then the obvious target is for a run back up to 380. So a really interesting one to watch. For me, at least, the trend is still just about up. Let's see how it performs over the next few weeks. Now, if you watch stock markets, the next one you're probably familiar with, AMC. AMC Entertainment, part of the meme stock craze this year. We've done a couple of videos on this already this year, but the US cinema chain that was, along with GameStop, back at the beginning of the year, attracted a lot of attention on the likes of Wall Street Bets, on Reddit, trying to instigate a short squeeze. You can see the move here in January from around $3, trades as high as almost 20, then goes quiet, goes pretty flat, but it all kicks off again in May. So in third week of May, trading around $12 and then surged as high as, $75 by the first week of June. So massive volatility. But since then has calmed down once more. From my point of view, I think the problem with the meme stocks is the moves are so explosive. It's very hard to have any sensible form of risk management when it comes to looking at these stocks. And if you're in it and you make money, then that's great. But I think plenty of people end up buying perhaps too late and then sit there as the stock has a significant retracement, seeing it on a massive loss. So I do wonder if the story is already over for AMC and that the days of explosive moves are behind us. But if we looked at it as a normal stock, I suppose you could take the view, trading where it is now, around $37 for the stock. We have seen since the middle of July, sort of 30 down to about 28 has been good support. So given that it's dropped back from above 50 in September, if somebody really wanted to buy AMC, we do at least have a level or an area of support to focus on, that if it's going to hold above anywhere, then perhaps this is the area. So perhaps in the short to medium term, if we saw a bit more excitement, we could see it push back up to 50. But I do think we'll see what happens. But the days of perhaps the explosive moves is behind this one as the story has moved on to something else. But it's interesting to see if this 28 to 30 level holds. I think if we start pushing below that, we could see quite a few people tempted to throw in the towel and book their losses or book their profits. But for now, at least, mildly positive is perhaps the best way of describing this one. The next stock in most traded is Tesla. And this is always clearly an interesting high-profile stock because of the work they do in electric vehicles. Elon Musk, of course, very high-profile CEO. And a great performance over the last few months. We have seen clearly some big moves in Tesla. We go back to March last year when it was trading around $100, pushed as high as $900 into January of this year. Then we saw something of a sell-off. But for me, the recovery that we're seeing in Tesla is still going. Let's just zoom things in to perhaps the year to date. So we had the sell-off from the highs. And we have had this trend that's been going on now since May. We saw the stock trade as low as $539 in March of this year. Came back to it down to $543 in May. And since then, we've just seen it steadily chugging higher. We've got the 50-day moving average on here. We had a buy signal in June off that as the price moved through about $640. It's done a pretty good job of holding the price up on any weakness since then. It is looking at the RSI down here, perhaps a little bit overbought in the short term, so perhaps a little bit overstretched, some might say. So we could see something of a correction, but if we go back and look at the trend, it's done a great job over the last, 5 months or so. We've got trend line support coming in around $725 for Tesla. So for me, this whole sort of 700 to 725 is that the support for the trend for Tesla at the moment. And even if we were to see weakness back from where we were now to that zone, that trend still looks very much intact. So overall, still positive for Tesla. It's recently just about pushed out to its best levels since February of this year. So there is strength in the stock. I suppose if we were going to come up with a target from here, then the next big target, assuming that trend continues, is for a run back to those highs around $900. So always an interesting one to watch and a great recovery trend that's been chugging along since May of this year. The next one in our most traded list is Virgin Galactic. Now, this is another one that we've done a few videos on. Clearly, another high-profile CEO, Richard Branson, founder of the company and of many other Virgin brands. And it's a spaceflight company looking to set up flights for people into space. We've had a few test flights so far. These have been behind some of the volatility in the stock price. I think the last major flight we had was it June of this year? And we did see the stock, push higher following that successful flight. But I think it's a very news-driven stock because since then, if we look from here, $56 in June, back down to $23 now. I think when there's no news, we do see the stock tend to drift. And you can see here, just looking at the last 18 months or so, plenty of volatility, no real trend. But I suppose we could say if you really wanted to buy in point of view, we have seen really good support around the $15 mark over the last 12 months. It's trading at 23 at the moment. I'd say that arguably it still looks a bit weak. This bigger downtrend we've been in since July is still going. So I think it's an interesting one to watch if it starts nudging below $20, because historically we've seen buyers come back in at these levels, but still weak in the short to medium term, but very susceptible to explosive moves when we have news out about the stock, but nowhere near as exciting in recent weeks as it had been going into the summer. But, edging towards these old support levels, I think it's an interesting one to watch if it starts pushing below $20.
That's it for this slightly different video looking at 4 stocks. I'm sure we'll do individual videos on them in the months ahead, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that. But for now, from me, David Jones and Capital.com, we'll leave things there. Good luck with your investing.
For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.